Did you hear? Trump just decided to cancel student loan forgiveness. Why? Because the problem in America is not the crushing debt, it's that too many people are getting educated. And his press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, is loving it. Watch as she announces that debt collection will begin May 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo, kids.
No student loan has been referred to collection since March of 2020. That comes to an end. On May 5th, the Department of Education will resume involuntary collections for borrowers with defaulted federal student loans. The student loan portfolio controlled by the federal government is nearly $1.6 trillion. But fewer than 4 out of 10 borrowers are in repayment. This is unsustainable, unfair, and a huge liability for American taxpayers. Debt cannot be wiped away. It just ends up getting transferred to others. So why should Americans who didn't go to college or went to college and responsibly paid back their loans pay for the student loans of other Americans?
You know who else is excited? Fox Business, because nothing says freedom like blaming the left for wanting kids to know stuff.
I'll just make it quick by saying the progressive left, I think, wants our kids to be stupid to a certain degree because that makes them more reliant on government, that makes them more reliant on programs and handouts, and that way the left keeps control. So
you're right. What? How does that track? These are the same people who want to abolish the Department of Education from the states with the worst scores, and they're getting rid of student loan forgiveness. Who wants who to be stupid?
University accreditation is currently a process controlled by a number of third-party organizations. That's by statute, by law. Many of those third-party accreditors have relied on sort of woke ideology to accredit universities instead of accrediting based on merit and performance. This executive order affects a number of changes to the university accreditation process, also applies to law schools and other sort of graduate programs. But the basic idea is to force accreditation to be focused on the merit and the actual results that these universities are providing, as opposed to how woke these universities have gotten. So we're setting up new accreditation pathways. We're charging the Department of Education to really look holistically at this accreditation mess and hopefully make it much better.
That video is just crazy because Trump's just sitting there impatient, ready to sign. He didn't even know what he's signing. And that guy's just giving him the cliff notes. And the problem is that accreditors are now too woke. What does that mean? Sorry, Harvard, you're too inclusive. You got to be more like Trump University 2.0, where your diploma comes with a coupon for ivermectin.
The ones benefiting from Donald Trump's misguided attacks on our universities and on research are benefiting China. China is recruiting right now on our campuses all those scientists and faculty members and students who've been laid off or had their offers rescinded and say, come to China, we'll build you that lab, we'll give you staff. So for a president who is about America first, he's making America last, he's making us weaker, he's making us less competitive.
Finally, somebody making sense. That's the governor of Massachusetts laying out what's happening. With these policies, America's losing and China is winning. Wouldn't you rather go to China or any other country and study where you're not going to end up with so much debt, where you're supported, where they're not suspicious of you? Yeah, you would. But the Trump administration is bringing us down.
Here's an interesting statistic. With 4% of the world's population, the United States has 75% of the world's top universities. That's by one measure. Most of them show the same thing. Why is that? Well, because the United States created this extraordinary combination, this synergy between the federal government and universities. The government pays for research, sponsors research, but it doesn't try to run the universities, run them as government-owned entities. And that freedom has allowed America's universities to flourish and grow. That is what is at stake in the Trump administration's war against the universities. It is going to kill the goose that laid the golden eggs of research, of innovation, of technology. That's what's at stake.
Did you get that? 75% of the top universities in the world and 4% of the population of the world are here in America. Why? Because we used to invest in universities and research without getting involved in the way that the Trump administration is trying to get involved. Now, what's going on? Let's break this down. First of all, this is all about control, okay? This is, once again, authoritarianism 101. If the White House can control what universities are allowed to teach, then it can control thought. It can control what can be taught, what can't be taught. And of course, they use words like woke to say, oh, they're woke. DEI is bad. Diversity is bad. All of this stuff that's going on, it's so obvious that it's a power play. The executive has wanted to have more and more power. The Republicans have wanted the executive to have more and more power ever since Richard Nixon was ousted. Roger Stone was involved in that. If you haven't seen it, look it up. Say Roger Stone trying to get back power for the executive. And he talks about how he wants the executive to have more power. And now here we are with an executive branch that has this majority in the Supreme Court. They've got the House of Representatives. They got the Senate. So this guy's doing whatever he wants, executive orders left and right. And the only line of defense we have are the courts and the judges, and hopefully the Supreme Court. We've seen some of the things that were challenged. The Supreme Court has actually sided with saying that Trump's executive orders have been unconstitutional. And so here we are. They attacked Columbia. They attacked Cornell. They've attacked Harvard. I mean, thank God for Harvard standing up to them, by the way. And let's go back to what that one lady said on Fox News. She said, the progressives want people to be stupid so that they rely on handouts. And it just makes absolutely no sense. The truth is, around the time of the Reagan administration, he had somebody in his administration who actually said to him that you don't want to educate the masses too much, because eventually, if you have a high educated population, they're going to graduate and there might not be enough work for them. And so what happens to an educated population that can't find work? They rebel against their leaders and they overthrow their leaders. That was this guy's philosophy. And so we're looking at them right now systematically getting rid of education. And it's crazy because as the pot calling the kettle black, they go, oh, the progressives and the woke, and they're teaching our kids all this stuff. You don't want to teach anything. They're trying to abolish the Department of Education, which, by the way, the Department of Education deals with a lot of things like, for example, making sure that students with disabilities get their education in a fair way, making sure that student loans go out. And they're trying to get rid of all that. And here we are, they are getting rid of the student loan debt forgiveness, which again is crazy if you think about it. We are one of the only countries in the world where people graduate with these deep, deep loans and they're stuck in this debt. And if you remember, Joe Biden under the Biden administration tried to forgive some of that debt, and Republicans rebelled. How dare you forgive that debt? Meanwhile, when the crash happened in 2008, bailing out banks, not a big deal. Meanwhile, helping billionaires get contracts from the government like Elon Musk, no big deal. Meanwhile, spending billions and billions of dollars on things that are of your interest or tax cuts for billionaires, no problem. But God forbid we give someone who went to school a little bit of a break so that they can get going in their lives. That's why the middle class and the lower class is disappearing, because these guys don't want it, because what they're doing is the rich just keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer. And they have convinced their constituents that this woke student loan debt forgiveness is a woke thing. How dare these people go to college and then count on you to pay for the loan that they owed? You saw Karoline Leavitt. She said that the taxpayers end up paying for those loans. The truth is, if we didn't keep giving tax cuts to billionaires, we could afford a lot of this stuff. And yet we continue to give tax cuts to billionaires. A lot of this stuff, by the way, is all about these upcoming tax cuts. The whole thing with Elon going with Doge, or even Trump saying that the tariffs are going to bring in money. All of that stuff is so that when they're ready to pass and continue the tax breaks that they passed in Trump 1 for billionaires. Of course, they say that the tax break is for everybody, but in the long run, billionaires and rich people benefit more. Once they pass those, or once they're going to pass it, they're going to say, look at how much money we saved. We got student loan debt, started paying. The people that had debt started paying again. How hard is it going to be for people who, once again, have graduated from college and don't have the income to be able to afford this? We should be doing student loan forgiveness. We should be helping people build the middle class. But instead, this is an attack. Like I said originally, it's an authoritarian attack to try and control universities. Thank God Harvard University took them to court, has taken them to court, and I hope that other universities step up and join Harvard in taking this administration to court, because this administration is trying to control what these universities can and cannot teach. That whole executive order about the accreditation, there's a third party that looks at the accreditation and they're saying those guys are too woke. Everybody's too woke. What does that mean? So we're not supposed to talk about the LGBTQ community. We're not supposed to talk about people of color. The fact that they're making universities and companies get rid of DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and meanwhile his cabinet is filled with a bunch of people who are not qualified, including Pete Hegseth, who keeps sending out these signal chats to his friends and family and giving away classified information. How is that guy qualified? How is Kash Patel qualified to be the director of the FBI? How's Tulsi Gabbard qualified? These people are very unqualified. How about Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's a conspiracy theorist against vaccines, running the health administration? What is going on? Talk about DEI. That's just, that's what they're doing. They're DEI for unqualified people. And then they turn around and they say that these universities are too woke. You're teaching leftist thought and all. No, they're teaching critical thought. They're teaching us to look at you and be like, yo, you are benefiting from all of the policies that you're passing. You're benefiting financially. I mean, so much stuff that you see just by opening your mind and being critical. And when that lady said that progressives don't want people to be educated because they like them stupid, the truth is Republicans clearly don't want people to be educated, because if you're educated, then you realize what the scam is. The scam is that they are getting these cultural words, these cultural battles into your head, be against woke, be against DEI, be against all of these things. And meanwhile, they are taking advantage of you to fill their own pockets. So folks, don't fall for it. Keep talking about it. Keep putting it out there and let people know that the Trump administration is against education and they want to be authoritarian, which is what authoritarian regimes do, by the way. They take over the universities. They take over the art centers. He's now the president of the Kennedy Center. What? Why? Because they're trying to control thought. That's why. Look at any other dictatorship in the world, and that's what they do. So welcome to the dictatorship class 101 of Trump and his Trump 2.0. We're in that situation. Keep talking about this. Keep getting it out there, all right? I'm comedian Maz Jobrani. I've got a channel right here on YouTube, Maz Jobrani. Give it a follow. I post comedy. We need to laugh. We need to laugh because, things just keep getting worse and worse. Oy.